Okay, so what I want to do is build out the stair in the actual project, and then we'll get into actual building families. So this is kind of like the broad brush we talked about with the family. So I'm going to close each one of these files out. All right, and let's actually build this out here so we have at least the stairs in there as well. So I'm going to go down to level 1 and find where our stair core is. Is this where the stair core is?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There we go. So that's my core. Lay out, penciled out. Looks good. Okay, so then that gives me, make sure we have enough room in there. Yep, 6'8". Good. Okay. So again, just to recap, I go to stair. I'm going to do stair by sketch, and I'm doing it as a run. So, and then also making sure my width is appropriate. So in this case, we'll do 3 foot 0 inches, and we should probably going to need a little bit more room in that core. So we'll change our wall systems to be slightly smaller. Go down to 12 inches with those. 15 should give us. Yep. Okay. Let's go to stair. Right, so what I've done is when I go to lay it, right, it'll read that side area because it's wanting you to find a core wall. So by default, it kind of knows where you're going to be placing it. Now, I'm not going to worry about, in particular, kind of getting it back and forth. I'm going to kind of just get it in place. Now, I know if I'm going from grade, which is level 1, to level 2, it's going to give me 26 stairs. So I'm going to create, one side's going to have that stagger, so we'll go to 12, and then we'll go to 13 on the other one, okay? And then if I want to move those stairs, remember that I can do MV with it, and I can move those out, and then I can have it even, or if I do need the stagger, or I want the stagger for 1, right, I delete 1 off.
Yep.
That works as well. Or I can bring it back. So we won't, I'm not going to fuss too much about it right now. All I'm going to do is make sure that I take that whole assembly and move it so it sits at that back wall. Okay. That pretty much lays out my stair core pretty even there. And check. Now remember we had done, right, where we had brought this out, right, so we're bringing that out. I'm going to go ahead and do kind of like what we did before, right? I'm going to bring all that in, delete off that last item, and just bring that guy down so it's super tiny. Just a little bit so it doesn't freak Revit out. And I'm going to check. And I'm probably going to have an issue there. Right? There we go. So you'll see in plan, those dotted lines are both referring to the railing as well as the support structure for the stair itself. So let's go ahead and look at what that's doing. Go to 3D. Again, I'm going to use my orient to view from my section box. Do level 1. There's my stair. Rotate this around. There we go. All right, so you can see from default it's just loading in that profile. So there's not even a support structure within that. It's just the railings that are being there. So I know that I'm going to load the railings later. So delete off my railing, and then I'm going to change this stair to be the edit type. And I'm going to say that's the only one I have in here. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it SGA 7-inch max wire by tread. And we'll do it concrete. So concrete. Okay. Click OK. And then what I do is I'm going to actually go in and begin editing the type of it. So again, calculation rules are fine. Monolithic stairs, yes. If I check that and I click apply, that's going to change this and make these monolithic for me. Right, it's going to make it so that bottom piece. So at this point, other than changing the materials and getting it so it actually is concrete, it's pretty good. The overlap, right, so my tread thickness is fine. I can even come down and say 0 inches for tread thickness, and there's no nose on it. If I really want to be monolithic stairs without treads, can't have riser thickness for scales type. Okay, so that's fine. We let it do what it wants to do, and we'll click OK. So that's as simple as it goes, right? Gets my stair, gets it so when I cut a section, it looks appropriate. Now you'll also see here, right, inside that wall is also another little railing appearing. So we don't want that railing either there. So we just want to make sure that that concrete stair sits nicely within that concrete pour. And then the same thing we did in the previous idea when we were looking at the examples. I'm going to take this, I'm going to mirror it, well, basically rotate it, and then I'm going to offset it from that grade level, and then we'll do the multi-story so we can kind of keep our process simple for this. Okay, so we'll come into, go Control-Shift-Tab back to my floor plan, Control-Tab back to my floor plan view. So that's my piece. Now, one little thing on here is that I still, in plan graphically, I'm seeing that boundary line. So I would obviously come in and edit that sketch and delete off that boundary element there. So that way that doesn't appear. All right, nice and clean now. I'm going to copy this. And it's not really hosted to anything, so I can copy anywhere I want. And I'm going to RO for rotate. And rotate again, RO. I'm not adjusting where I'm rotating from, I'm just rotating it. And then I'm going to move that into place.
When you move something in plan, is it always snapping to that level? Or is it?
Yes, that level is your work plane. Correct.
So you can't snap to something that's in the z-axis in a different place like the rhino. You don't have the project thing toggled. Like you wouldn't snap to like a random stair, like tread midway up that stair.
No, everything is really work plane oriented. Okay. So making sure you're within the work planes is really crucial for this. Now, as I'm kind of looking at this, I'm seeing that, a copy is not, it's not like a group, so I'm having a little bit of leeway there. I'm also looking at it and saying, I have, let's see, DI for dimension. I need to split that difference. Easy way, right? I would do a line, so LI for line, right? And I'm going to move this guy to be to the center of that line. And then if I calculate that distance from there to there, right, should give me where I need to be, or I can just move my other piece that way to there. All right, and then I would go in and edit each boundary of this, edit my sketch, and make sure that my back is centered on each one of these. So it sits nice and centered inside that core. Okay, that's my stair. Then, like we did before, I'm going to need to cut a section through this so I can see the stair profiles and how things are working. So I'm going to come in and do View, Section. Make sure I'm cutting it right through there. So I'm not necessarily cutting the stair, just looking at the stair. Make sure that that is outside of the boundary edge. So when I move the tag of the section, remember that I still need to come in and move the boundary of that as well. The tag is different than the other item. And I don't really need to see everything beyond, it's just that. And I'll name my consecutive section and call it section 3 is now stair core section. Okay. And we'll open up that view. So there's my stair. So I want to make sure that this stair, right, the bottom of that is meeting the top of that one. So I'll do DI for dimension, make sure that I get the offset value correct, which is 6'9". Fun.
Is it a dim style thing versus a?
There really aren't any dim styles per se.
Okay.
If I come in and double click this guy, I can use my actual value. I can replace it out for that. Yeah, so it's really handled by the units themselves. If I have one unit of precision, I'd really have to set all my precision values to really get that to come across. And sometimes even then it's a problem. So one thing with that is just be aware of setting it ahead of time when you're starting a new project. So that was what, 6'9", and I'll leave that there. All right, so then this stair, I'll come in and say that its offset is 6'9". And unfortunately, because you guys have different floor heights, you're going to have some fun with these stairs. All right, you're going to have some real fun with those. Okay, so that's my offset. So that at least gets me, and you'll see it doesn't even get me up to where I need to be, right? So definitely need to pay attention to what's going on there. Either way, as proof of concept, I'm going to leave it as is, so that way at least we can get up to where it needs to be. Yeah, having different size pieces is a big problem. I'm going to take each one of those, do the multi-story again with it all the way up to the top. And then we'll turn off our section box in this 3D view and take a look at what we have here. So that works. Yep. See, so why is that?